Tonight, damning review. Communication breakdown found among the top ranks of SA Health in the wake of the Port family's travel exemption saga. A former SA bikie gunned down in an execution-style killing on the Gold Coast. Police lay down the new laws around gel blasters. And ticketing rush as Port fans race for the chance to be at this Friday's game.
This is 10 News First Adelaide with Jennifer Keyte.
Good evening. A review has found a series of communication breakdowns responsible for the border exemptions wrongly handed to relatives of Port footballers. But the investigation couldn't find any documented reasons why the applications to enter from Victoria were approved.
The report spells out a chain of misunderstandings within SA Health. The result, approval for 11 family members of Port players to cross South Australia's supposedly hard border with Victoria, while many were having their pleas on compassionate grounds rejected.
This is new and uncharted territory, and we were dealing with a heightened level of volume. Now, an error was made.
5 relatives of Darcy Byrne-Jones, Tom Rockcliffe and Travis Boak had already arrived in Adelaide by the time SA Health realised its mistake. The other approvals were revoked. The report says the head of the exemptions team thought Deputy Chief Public Health Officer Evan Everest had approved the exemptions and use of his electronic signature. Dr Everest doesn't recall discussing the exemptions, but says it's possible she took an approval to refer the exemptions to her committee as approval of the applications. There are no documented reasons for why the family's exemptions were approved.
This report comes to no conclusions about who did what when.
Officials have been counselled, but no further disciplinary action will be taken.
There was no finding that this was widespread or there were other errors. This was an isolated incident.
The report says Events SA executive and former Port official Hataf Rashid played no role beyond referring the initial request to SA Health. There are 13 recommendations. They include clearer guidelines for exemptions, better training for officials and a requirement to retain the documentation used in approving applications. The families who did arrive have finished quarantine ahead of Port's home final on Friday. Alan Murrell for 10 News First.
There are fears a bikie war is brewing tonight after former South Australian Finks bikie Shane Bowden was gunned down outside his Gold Coast home. The 47-year-old had just pulled into his driveway when he was ambushed.
Shane Bowden was a big guy with a big profile. As he rolled his black BMW into the garage just after midnight, it was peppered with bullets. 2 ambushing gunmen fired a volley of shots, killing the bikie identity before he'd even stepped from the car.
It's clearly, I'm quite happy to say, he's been executed. He hasn't even got out of his vehicle and he's been shot multiple times.
When police arrived, the motor was still running. The victim's girlfriend was inside with 2 small children when the shots rang out.
The number of shots is quite surprising. It's significant. And as I say, he hasn't even had a time to even open the door of his car. He's been shot through the window.
Bowden was a notorious member of outlaw motorcycle gangs with links to the Mongols and Finks in multiple states. He'd been jailed for violence, including shooting a man during a Gold Coast brawl in 2006. Recently, he was charged with giving false information on a COVID entry declaration, travelling from Melbourne, where he'd been treated for a gunshot wound to the leg.
He's been subject to other crimes of violence in other states, and this could be a continuance of that. We don't know.
One advantage for detectives in the investigation is an abundance of CCTV camera footage and very high quality footage at that. They were quick to say that this is a bikie related hit and an inter-club one at that. That means they have no fears that the general public is at risk as they investigate whether his former Mongol associates, current Finks gang members or someone else wanted him dead.
Police are rolling out a new specific gel blaster licence and safety course for those who want to continue firing their devices. It will be cheaper and quicker than applying for an ordinary gun licence. Hannah Ford has the details.
Since the rule change on Thursday, police have copped an angry backlash from gel blaster users, including a protest over the weekend. 100 of the 62,000 devices across SA have been handed into police stations. But for those who want to keep their gel blaster and apply for a firearms licence, it will be easier. From next month, the gel blaster specific gun licence course will be offered through TAFE. It will be cheaper and quicker than the course for an ordinary gun licence offered now. While the Gel Blasters Association says the devices can't be officially classified as a firearm, police disagree.
There's been some concern that people getting gel blaster licences or firearm licences will lead to an increase in firearms in the South Australian community. That's not correct. When you apply for a firearms licence relating specifically to gel blasters, you can only own and possess a gel blaster.
Users must hand in their gel blaster or obtain a firearms licence by April next year.
A major crash investigation is underway in the Adelaide Hills following a serious crash in Piccadilly this afternoon. A concrete truck rolled and hit a tree on Spring Gully Road around 1 o'clock. A large team of emergency crews responded to reports the truck driver was trapped inside the cabin. Police continue to investigate at the scene and the road remains closed. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian is fighting for her public future thanks to her private life. Her long-running relationship with a former MP has been aired by the corruption watchdog. But in a press conference late today, she vowed not to quit despite her mistakes.
A frank admission from a Premier feeling the heat after a grilling in the ICAC witness box.
Hands down, this has been one of the most difficult days of my life. I'm an extremely private person. And without question, I stuffed up in my personal life, and I accept that.
Is it right to say that you were in a close personal relationship with Mr Maguire from at least about the time of the 2015 election?
Or slightly after, thereabouts.
The role I have, the office that I hold, is the greatest privilege of my life. And whilst I have made this mistake in my personal life, I intend to serve the people of New South Wales to the best of my ability.
As it investigates whether Maguire used his job as the member for Wagga Wagga for financial gain, the Corruption Commission has thrust a very public spotlight on the Premier's private life.
I've sacrificed my life to public office and I'm proud of that. And I can't stress enough that every day that I've been in this job, I have held myself accountable to the highest standards.
It's published phone messages between the pair in 2014. Maguire texting, "Hawkiss, good news. One of my contacts sold a motel for $5.8 million. I should make $5K. The Premier replying, "Congrats, great news, woohoo." Hawkiss is an affectionate Armenian term meaning my soul or my beloved.
But it's a term of endearment that Mr Maguire would regularly use with you and that you would regularly use with Mr Maguire, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
During more than 5 hours in the witness box, the Premier was grilled on what she knew of Maguire's business dealings.
I always had made the assumption that he was always doing the right thing.
Now, as ICAC exposes details of lobbying on immigration and property deals, the Premier says,
"Shocked and disturbed, can I say, by what's been revealed."
Maguire was obsessed with a $1.5 million personal debt, according to the Premier. However, she maintains there were no red flags when he mentioned a development at Badgerys Creek that could clear that debt.
He was always talking big about deals and they always seemed to fall through.
In a subsequent phone call about the deal, Ms Berejiklian told him not to tell her about the details.
William tells me we've done our deal.
That's good. I don't need to know about that bit.
But she denies that was to keep her at arm's length and prevent her from being put in a compromising position. Rather, she didn't really care.
I don't care if it was Mr Maguire or any other Member of Parliament. If they were doing the wrong thing and I felt they were doing the wrong thing, I would have made damn sure that I reported it.
The pair spoke about potentially going public with their relationship if Maguire had retired at the 2019 election.
Clearly that was something that I would not have been upset if that occurred. I would have been pleased if that occurred.
The Premier now says,
"I don't know if anything he said to me was truthful."
The pair remained in contact until last month. Maguire is due to front the corruption hearing on Wednesday, while the Premier faces Parliament and her colleagues tomorrow.
Gladys Berejiklian has led the state through the last 6 months in its most testing period of time. She's got my full support.
Lachlan Kennedy for 10 News First.
The Hilton International Hotel has reopened for the first time since the pandemic forced its closure in April. After 6 months, the hotel is coming out of hibernation, with 100 staff preparing to greet visitors. It's introduced a special cleaning system with rooms individually sealed.
So when New South Wales opened, that was the trigger. Now you've got some demand. Other than just South Australia, you've got some interstate demand.
Staff will increase to 250 as demand rises. Suburban retailers are reporting a welcome change in fortunes after struggling through the past several months. They say South Australians who've had to scrap travel plans are turning to retail therapy, and that's pushing local sales through the roof.
Nothing can rain on these shoppers' parade. Stores on the popular Norwood Strip delighted to see people spending up.
We have seen record sort of numbers in store, which has actually been really, really good for us. I guess the hardest thing is keeping stock in store.
It's continually been over 30% up. I'm surprised that it's been so strong, but and I follow the numbers day by day. And it shows no signs of abating.
For this florist, business has been blooming ever since the early lockdown days when some stores were forced to close.
We were one of the only shops that were open, and people were like, you know, what gifts do we get people? We might just grab them some flowers. It's felt extremely busy, like, you know, maybe almost double as busy as what we initially had.
With overseas holidays off the itinerary, people say they're happy to splash their cash at home.
Usually I do a lot of travelling every year, so I've definitely got a little bit of extra spending to do.
I've filled my closet back up, so that's wonderful.
I think people want to buy local and support their local businesses, because if we don't, then where are we?
The latest retail figures show an overall drop in spending in South Australia, but businesses here on the parade say with more people working from home and shopping locally, they're reaping the benefits.
A lot of people wanted to grab some flowers just to dress up the house a bit, make things sort of, you know, a bit more cheery and a bit nicer at home.
I don't think as many people are shopping in the city. I don't think as many people are going into work in the city. This is in a great location, a great demographic.
Tiffany Warren for 10 News First.
Well, Port Adelaide fans went into a frenzy this morning as tickets went on sale for the Power's preliminary final against Richmond. The game quickly sold out, with the majority snapped up in the opening minutes.
Bricks replaced with internet clicks. Tools down for Power fans as prelim tickets went online. Gavin Pearce, one of the Port faithful, racing to get a seat for Friday night's home final against Richmond. A continuously loading website throwing a spanner in the works.
Come on, as long as it doesn't crash.
But for lucky ticket holders, it was worth the early morning rush.
Yes, got them. Awesome, mate, got tickets.
In the first half an hour, I think it was about 22,500 tickets sold.
The Premier, not one of them.
No, I haven't had a chance. I was in Cabinet at 9 o'clock this morning. I think that there was some suggestion that the AFL was going to invite some senior people.
The few left over were snapped up by the general public this afternoon.
The maximum capacity for this game is 27,000, but once you factor in some of the COVID kills around the player races and the interchange bench, comes back to around about 25,500 saleable tickets.
Players looking forward to a full house.
Whether it's a decision that you think's maybe a bit stiff from the umpires and they're getting into them, they're doing the hard work for you, or when something goes really well and they just create that extra bit of energy for you.
Well, many Port Adelaide fans are trying to keep a lid on expectations, but some have already booked a ticket to Queensland for the grand final the following week.
5 of us going over, so we just booked flights when we go cheap, and if we don't go, we go for holiday for the Gold Coast for a week.
Cam Inglis for 10 News First.
Well, now here's Stephen previewing tonight's sport.
Thank you, Jen. The Crows have confirmed they're interested in want-away bomber Orazio Fantasia. Also tonight, Port Adelaide playing the underdog card ahead of Friday night's prelim against Richmond. And LeBron James further stakes his claim as one of the greatest of all time, winning a 4th NBA championship.
Thanks, Stephen. Coming up in 10 News First. The Prime Minister's car paint-bombed by refugee protesters in Queensland, and taking virtual reality to a new level, incorporating touch for good health.
This mystery box
will take them where no MasterChef has been before.
Oh my gosh, they've actually been. Oh, that is so cool.
Hands up who likes honey. Everybody. Oh, except Georgia. Georgia.
I'm in big trouble. It's the Honeylicious Challenge with so many unbelievable dishes.
What is going on here?
This is one of the best I've eaten.
Can Georgia get out of this sticky situation?
I have to make this dish work. I'm very scared.
Junior MasterChef's Honeylicious Challenge, 7:30 tonight.
The drive home. Everyone's asleep thanks to a full weekend of recreation. Not Mum, though. He did promise to keep her company. Was it rude to wake him? Maybe. Incoming cattle grid, a.k.a. the alarm clock. Ha! Thank you, Roads of Australia. The Toyota RAV4, the return of recreation. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
When the great race becomes the grand finale. Watch as we crown the King of the Mountain and our 2020 Supercars champion, the Supercheap Auto Bathurst 1000, October 15 to 18. Watch it live.
Pack a bargain at Chemist Warehouse with our amazing October catalogue sale on now. Get Nasonex Allergy Twin Pack $26.99. Swiss Odorless Fish Oil 150mg 400 capsules $24.99. Nature's Own Magnesium Chelate 250 capsules $24.99. And any Sustagen Hospital Active 840g variant $22.99. Shop in-store, online or call your local store to arrange contact-free delivery. Chemist Warehouse. Great savings every day.
First they sued Hungry Jack's, now they want to ban our ad telling you the Big Jack has 25% more Aussie beef than theirs. But we know when you tell an Aussie it's big, it better be big. The Big Jack and the Mega Jack, only at Hungry Jack's.
If you want to get serious about smashing your power bills, Sunboost has reduced solar prices further with new easy finance options so you can repay while you save.
Time is running out for an instant $200 discount on the popular Sunboost 6.6 kilowatt Maxi Saver 20-panel premium system, still an unbeatable $33.91. Made even easier with optional save and pay 24-month finance, extended to October 31 only.
Call 1300 Sunboost.
Oh my God.
It's the date that'll get hearts racing.
That's probably the best first kiss I've ever had.
But why do the sisters see red?
I'm not buying what you're saying. I just think it's time for you to leave.
The Bachelorette on 10.
The sisters' search for love continues over 2 big nights.
Looking for that excuse to create your dream entertaining area? Receive colour LED lighting with your new Louver House absolutely free. But hurry, as this offer is strictly limited. Live life your way with Louver House.
Here are some of today's weather photos from across South Australia. If you'd like to share your own, you can join our Adelaide Weather Watchers group on Facebook. You can also find us on Instagram at 10 News First ADL. Or you can tag me using the hashtag SA with Kate.
The Prime Minister had to be ushered away by police in Queensland today when his visit was ambushed by protesters. They vandalised his car and a building, putting the PM's security at risk.
Here he is. Go, Mo! Go!
Rushed down the stairs at the University of Queensland.
Free the refugees! Let them go, you scum!
And shoved into the back of a paddy wagon.
Free them! It's been 8 years! 8 years, you garbage! 8 years!
Before being driven away.
Free the refugees!
Refugee protesters abusing the Prime Minister as he made his escape.
Face your people, you coward!
They also threw red paint on his official car and smeared it on the glass windows and entrance to the research facility. Inside, Scott Morrison oblivious to the frustration building outside. His focus very much on Australia finding a vaccine for COVID-19.
This will become the epicentre of these things all around the world.
The Prime Minister carried on with his day. The next stop, Visy Recycling.
And we're used to digging resources out of the ground, but what you can see around me here
is a resource. It's a resource that is going to continue to power our economy into the future.
He appeared unfazed by the abuse.
It was unfortunate that what they're doing was disrespected in that way today.
That's completely unacceptable. That is completely unacceptable, and as I've always said, everyone should be showing respect.
The Prime Minister is in Queensland, where he's selling his budget and also helping out on the campaign trail. Tomorrow he'll host a major fundraiser for the LNP in Brisbane, with tickets costing between $990 and $1,500. Scott Morrison will remain in the Sunshine State for another few days before returning ahead of next week's sitting. Stella Todorovic for 10 News First.
Crown Casino has been served another please explain over its connection with shady foreign organisations, this time by the Victorian regulator. It comes at the same time as its leaders are being hauled before an inquiry in New South Wales over links to dubious junket operators overseas. Allegations surfaced last year that Crown was turning a blind eye to money laundering within its casinos. The Victorian Commission for Gambling has asked Crown to show cause why it shouldn't face disciplinary action over the alleged failures. Crown has previously announced it had suspended all activity with junket operators until June next year. A new virtual reality invention is being hailed as revolutionary in the world of remote medicine. The glove can simulate the sensation of touch, and scientists believe it could allow surgeons to operate on patients on the other side of the world.
A video game for your health might seem counterintuitive.
Very good.
But this XR health physiotherapy session is like no other.
It will quantify their speed of movement, their accuracy of how they move, their range of motion as well, and then the quality of movement.
More than ever, patients are being treated virtually, seeing and hearing medical professionals over distance.
As far as you can go, you can be a little bit quicker.
But so far, touch is still beyond reach.
We're always looking at different emerging technologies that can help enhance what we're doing.
But engineers at the University of New South Wales, led by senior lecturer Tan Nyo Do, are adding another tool to the box with innovations in what they call haptic technology with their soft skin stretch device, a glove fitted with mini sensors that, when fed information, can move around, simulating the sense of touch from thousands of kilometres away, even the other side of the world.
They can feel what happened at the remote distance, or even they can feel the virtual object in virtual environment.
The sensor in this device has been programmed to simulate how it feels when I drag my finger in any direction. But researchers are also working out how to simulate pressing down on something, and that research can be used endlessly.
We can be performing a surgery on the other side of Australia. It allows us to intimately feel and interact with the end organ or tissue that we're trying to operate on.
The future of healthcare within reach. Sydney Keyte for 10 News First.
And ahead in 10 News First, a longer life. Australian researchers discover coronavirus can survive much longer on surfaces than previously thought. And President Trump's bold and bizarre claim, a halo of COVID immunity.
Good evening. It's been a lovely day for kids heading back to school right across South Australia. A great day in Adelaide. It's been warm and sunny. Even this morning our low was 17 degrees and today warmed up to 29 degrees at 2 this afternoon. Right now it's 28. Looking at temperatures across South Australia, it's been very warm today. 31 degrees the top in Port Pirie and 32 degrees in Port Augusta, but even warmer in the west. Today it reached 33 degrees at Ceduna and only slightly cooler at Maitland at 29 degrees. Looking further south, it was still very warm. Temperatures reached the mid to high 20s. Port Lincoln reached 29 degrees, Renmark reached 28, with 27 the top in Victor Harbour and through the Barossa. Well, looking around the country, it's been a dry start to the week and it's been very warm, partly cloudy in Brisbane with a top of 26, a warm day in Melbourne, 25 degrees and 28 the top over in Perth. Well, there is more warm weather coming South Australia's way. I'll have your forecast shortly. See you then.
Main man Marty Sheargold is back.
You always give one more chance than they deserve, don't you?
We brought you back early on in the series,
So are Abby, Mel, Ed and Sam ready for what's in store?
Fingers crossed, Tom. I need a white flag here. I give up.
New Have You Been Paying Attention? Monday.
One little thing. What's one little thing going to do? But what if that one little thing wasn't a lonely little thing? Instead, that one little thing was just one of lots of one little things. Lots of one little things that together are many big little things. Solving many big, big problems. Then, that one little thing isn't such a little thing. That one little thing can change the world. IKEA.
The new i30 has a 10.25-inch screen for navigation, which when you think about it means it's connected to a network of satellites in space. That's right, space. The new i30. Remarkable.
New Rainbow Bursties make Hungry Jack's frozen drinks more fun with bursting bubbles of triple bursty flavour sensation. Or add Rainbow Bursties to new bubblegum frozens. Get more flavour and fun with Rainbow Bursties, only at Hungry Jack's.
Before you choose the bench tops and basins or the doors and floors, think about an even bigger decision, the frame that holds everything up. A house frame made with true core steel has the inner strength and durability to remain straight and true for you and your family now and in the future. To find builders using true core steel, visit truecore.com.au.
Your choices make a big difference.
Is your pasta meal locally made like Cucina Classica?
And is your supermarket South Australian?
Choose SA brands and produce at Drake's, your SA family-owned supermarket.
Choose SA.
Welcome to the procrastination place.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
You've been looking at shoes for hours.
Yeah, shoes.
You've got stuff to do.
Make it happen!
Who likes honey?
I don't like honey. I would never use it as the hero in a dish.
2 new MasterChefs Honeylicious Challenge, 7:30 tonight.
Donald Trump has claimed he is now completely free of COVID-19, insisting without proof that he's also immune. The US president is set to return to the campaign trail tomorrow, while a new poll finds most Americans don't trust what he's saying about the virus.
Mr. President, thank you very much for being here.
President Trump phoning into friendly Fox News.
Once you do recover, you're immune. So now you have a president who doesn't have to hide in a basement like his opponent.
Donald Trump repeated the same unproven claim on Twitter. That means I can't get it, immune, and can't give it, he posted. Twitter flagged it as misleading and potentially harmful. What the president's doctor actually said is that he's no longer considered a transmission risk. Nothing about immunity or that Trump's virus-free just yet.
What my father's done on the vaccine front, no one could have done. No one could have done.
Trump's immunity claim wasn't the only falsehood.
President Trump tackled the virus head-on, as leaders should.
I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more.
America's top infectious disease doctor, Anthony Fauci, is furious his words were taken out of context for a Republican ad. He was talking about himself, not the president.
I have been devoting almost full time on this. I can't imagine that under any circumstances that anybody could be doing more.
Armed with his doctor's note, Trump will resume campaigning in Florida tomorrow, while Joe Biden, who went to church today, will be on the hustings in Ohio. Tomorrow, another big election issue will be back in the spotlight as the Senate Judiciary Committee meets to confirm Donald Trump's pick to the Supreme Court. Vice presidential candidate Kamala Harris will lead the charge against Justice Amy Barrett.
They're coming for you.
With as many eyes on her as Trump's controversial candidate. Eamon Ashton-Atkinson for 10 News First, Washington.
Anticipation is high across England, with Boris Johnson set to unveil a 3-tier lockdown system later tonight. Pubs, gyms and social clubs are expected to be shut in the hardest-hit northern cities for up to 6 months, while households will be banned from mixing. Crowds packed bars across the country ahead of the new restrictions. Some medical experts are calling for another nationwide lockdown, with up to 15,000 new cases recorded each day. Australian researchers have discovered COVID-19 can survive on surfaces twice as long as originally thought. At almost room temperature, virus particles can linger on mobile phones, cash and paper for nearly a month.
Door handles, petrol pumps, banknotes. Every day we're touching hundreds of objects. It's prompted CSIRO researchers to investigate just how long COVID-19 lingers.
We weren't expecting it to survive for as long as what it did.
Particularly in cooler climates with no UV light. The Australian study found at room temperature in lab conditions, the virus can survive for almost a month on smooth materials like banknotes, taps and mobile phone screens. On cotton, less than 14 days. But as the temperature rises to 30 degrees, the virus lasts just 7 days on glass, steel and banknotes, and on cotton and vinyl, 3 days. When the mercury soars to 40 degrees, though, COVID lasts 48 hours on vinyl, 24 hours on glass, steel and banknotes, and less than 16 hours on cotton.
That's a good thing for us as we head into summer. UV light actually kills the virus really quickly as well.
Although we know the virus can survive on some surfaces longer than others, it's not clear that it's commonly transmitted by touch. That's a question experts are still trying to answer.
Currently, we don't know what an infectious dose is, so how much virus is actually required to cause an infection.
So just to be sure, the best line of defence is common sense.
Sanitising our hands, regular cleaning surfaces and making sure that we don't touch our face regularly.
Christina Costalis for 10 News First.
An armed mob of about 40 people have used fireworks and metal bars in a failed attempt to storm a police station in Paris. The attack left windows smashed and police cars badly damaged in what leaders are describing as scenes of war. It's the third time this year the police station has been attacked. A motive remains unclear, but the station is located in a housing estate known for drug trafficking. Security forces have used water cannons and stun grenades in Belarus to break up protests, calling for President Alexander Lukashenko to step down. Dozens were taken away in unmarked vans by police officers in balaclavas. The US and European Union have refused to recognise Lukashenko's August election victory, which is widely believed to have been rigged. Harry and Meghan have teamed up with Nobel Peace Prize recipient Malala Yousafzai to celebrate the International Day of the Girl. In a virtual chat, the group discussed the importance of education for young girls, as well as spending more time with baby Archie during the pandemic.
We were both there for his first steps, his first run, his first fall, his first everything.
And it's just fantastic because I think in so many ways we are fortunate to be able to have this time to watch him grow.
An estimated 20 million girls have had their education cut short this year because of the coronavirus. And ahead in 10 News First, the PM gets a polls boost as the public backs his big spending budget. And in the face of adversity, a tiny Victorian town rallies to welcome horse racing's greatest prize, the Melbourne Cup.
Hands up who likes honey. Everybody. Oh, except Georgia. You don't like honey.
I don't like honey. I'm in big trouble.
Can Georgia get out of this sticky situation?
I'd have to make this dish work. I'm very scared.
Tune your MasterChef's Honeylicious Challenge, 7:30 tonight.
Get delivery like a G. See, hungry dogs gotta eat. I get mines every day, every week. Chicken wings to the crib. I'm sitting in MENULOG.
Somebody say, menu love.
Rules are made to be broken. Only with Vodafone, you can get infinite data at the speed you choose, plus data at max speed to use how you desire. So if you wish to rule your feed, stream entire seasons, or upload to the cloud in your virtual boardroom, switch now to a plan with faster infinite data. Rule your speed, rule your network, Rule infinitely. You rule with Vodafone.
Barbecue seen better days? This daylight savings give Old Faithful a well-earned retirement and get down to barbecues galore. Barbecues galore. The range, the price, the knowledge. Now you're cooking.
Introducing new Fairy Easy Spray. For stuck-on grease, just spray Fairy Easy Spray and grease melts away. You can also use it for an easy clean on different kitchen surfaces and items too. Switch to Fairy.
Hair can be really annoying when it grows in unsightly places. But the real problem is when you can't get hair where you'd really like it. Advanced Hair Studio has led the world in hair restoration procedures and programs for 45 years. And now, their Hair Fusion Gradual Restoration can give you hair where you want it. So call Advanced Hair Studio now.
Just like I did. Yeah.
Call 1300 Advanced now.
When you don't want to leave your car, choose Domino's new car park delivery for no extra charge. Try it today and get 50% off premium or traditional pizzas. Bring it in.
During October, Roof Seal will donate part proceeds of every order to Beyond Blue. Beyond Blue's vision is for all people in Australia to achieve their best possible mental health.
1300 36 7070.
Roof.
Get down to Barbecues Galore for red hot savings like Next Grill Deluxe 4-burner barbecue now $5.99. This new release Kamado featuring ceramic construction and folding shelves now $7.99. And up to 40% off outdoor lounges. Barbecues Galore.
Amazon Prime Day is back. On the 13th and 14th of October, save big on Amazon devices, home and kitchen, electronics, and so much more. Prime Day, the 13th and 14th of October.
Tonight, let the games begin when Abby, Marty, and Melanie join Ed and Sam on new Have You Been Paying Attention?
Get into any Drake supermarket and knock your socks off. Simply buy a specially marked product in a $20 shop and get a free pair of socks. There's 17 to collect. Don't miss out while socks last. Drake Supermarkets. Ingredients for every day.
Here are tomorrow's speed camera locations across Adelaide. And a reminder that you can catch up on any of tonight's stories by searching for 10 News First Adelaide on Facebook or join the conversation on Twitter at 10 News First ADL.
Hello there, I'm Gillian Bowen with your finance news. An encouraging trend, that's how the boss of the Commonwealth Bank has described their latest numbers on COVID-19 paused loans. The 6-month holiday is up for many customers, but the bank's AGM is also tomorrow, so it's released the data now. 129,000 loans remain paused. CBA says its total balance of deferred loans sits at $42 billion. That's down from $67 billion in June. The latest figures show for September, 45,000 customers started making repayments again, but more than 17,000 home loan customers and 1,400 small and medium business customers have asked for more help and have been granted a 4-month extension. New South Wales-based home loan customers are feeling it the most. For businesses, it's those based in coronavirus-hit Victoria. The latest weekly figures from the early release superannuation scheme show at least $34 billion has now been pulled out of super funds. Of the tens of thousands of applications still being received, 19,000 were from fund members dipping into their super for the first time. To the ASX 200, well,
it's closed in positive territory, just. Shares in the market operator itself struggled. The ASX launched a new website today and there were glitches. The tech sector, a strong performer, led by IT company Link. Shares surged after a multi-billion-dollar takeover offer. The energy and materials sectors sagged. To the dollar, it's weaker against the major currencies.
That's finance.
This is Adelaide's 10 News First. Tonight's headlines. A review finds miscommunication contributed to footballer families being granted exemptions to travel from Victoria by SA Health. A former SA bikie gunned down execution style in his Gold Coast driveway. And retail revival as Norwood businesses celebrate an upturn of locals spending closer to home. New polling suggests most taxpayers are pretty happy with last week's big spending federal budget. But the Prime Minister's under attack over cuts to another budget, that of the department responsible for exposing the damaging sports rorts scandal.
As the government continues selling last week's budget,
Let's go and see the Miracle Makers.
today's news poll confirms it's largely been well received. Twice as many voters think the budget is good rather than bad, 42% to 20%. But 38% of Australians remain uncommitted. It was Australia's biggest ever spending budget, but the government found one department in need of cuts, the Office of the Auditor-General.
This government has taken the opportunity last Tuesday to cut the budget of a body that dared to hold it to account.
The Auditor-General uncovered the sports rorts scandal, which saw Sports Minister Bridget McKenzie fired from the ministry. The auditor's budget was slashed by $14 million last Tuesday, despite the Auditor-General personally writing to the PM asking for an additional $6.3 million next financial year, to be able to complete more investigations, not less.
And this just shows why we need a National Integrity Commission.
They received $112 million last year and we'll get $98 million this year.
And what you're referring to there is taking into account the unspent money.
The cut means fewer investigations into potential government malpractice at a time when COVID spending requires even greater scrutiny.
This is payback for the Auditor-General doing his job.
Peter Van Onselen for 10 News First.
Well, it's fair to say 2020 has been extremely challenging, and that's especially true for a tiny town in Victoria's east. Canny Creek has endured the pandemic, economic downturn, drought and bushfires. But it takes more than that to keep a good town down.
They breed 'em tough at Canny Creek. Population 9, all with the last name Sandy, and a galloper called Jeffrey.
He's a cheeky boy.
We met them in the aftermath of January's bushfires, when Robin managed to save the much-loved thoroughbred, whose racing name is, coincidentally, Firefree.
Peter arrived in with the horse and said to me, look after the horse, Jeffrey. It might be the only thing we've got left.
While Peter protected their home, Robin looked after Jeffrey.
You took your dress off and wet it down and put it on Jeffrey. So you were standing in your knickers.
I said, look after him with your life sort of thing, don't let him out of your sight. And they sort of took me literally, I suppose. And
Since then, life hasn't gotten any easier. A few months ago, Jeffrey ate too many weeds in the paddock, got sick and almost died. But the close-knit family has nursed him back to health.
hopefully he'll get back to the racetrack. Gallop around a racetrack will be a walk in the park.
The Sandys love their racing so much, they live next to the Buchan racetrack, and they were the driving force behind the Buchan Cup going ahead just 6 weeks after the fires, with a crowd double its usual size.
And it went viral, it went worldwide, this burnt-out winning post at a racetrack.
This year, Buchan is one of the Melbourne Cup Tour national sweep towns, and if their horse wins, they'll get $50,000 for a community project.
How amazing is this?
After 3 years of drought, bushfires and a global pandemic, it's about time Buchan saw its cup runneth over. Annie Kearney for 10 News First.
Indeed. Well, as we hit preliminary final week, here's Stephen with Monday Sport.
Thank you, Jen. It's down to 4, but Port Adelaide is doing its best to talk down favouritism as it prepares for the Tigers. Where to for Jordan De Goey as he chases a new deal? The hot hoop, hungry for more spring carnival riches. 13 for the King of Clay. And speaking of kings, LeBron reigns supreme as the Lakers win the NBA Finals against the Heat.
Gladys Berejiklian's love drama with a disgraced former MP next.
Oh my God.
It's the date that'll get hearts racing.
That's probably the best first kiss I've ever had.
But why do the sisters see red?
I'm not buying what you're saying. I just think it's time for you to leave.
The Bachelorette, over 2 big nights.
When you don't want to leave your car, choose Domino's new car park delivery for no extra charge. Try it today and get 50% off premium or traditional pizzas. Bring it in.
It's incredible. Over 80% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. 2 fully furnished grand prize homes are up for grabs. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for the $1 million early bird prize. Order your tickets now.
Welcome to the procrastination place.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
You've been looking at shoes for hours.
Yeah, shoes.
You've got stuff to do. Make it happen!
Telfast knows that hay fever can take you by surprise. Relieve symptoms fast with Telfast, Australia's #1 non-drowsy hay fever brand. And to prevent symptoms before they start, try Telnasal Allergy Spray.
Warning to all SA homeowners.
Do not buy any blinds. I repeat, do not buy any blinds until you see Burns for Blinds.
They've dropped prices big time.
There's $1 million in discounts up for grabs.
Burns are giving away $1 million in discounts.
Burns have gone crazy. Make sure you get the discounts you're entitled to.
Save to 50% off store-wide. Indoor blinds, outdoor blinds, roller shutters, security doors, curtains.
Better phone Burns for Blinds now.
Save to 50% off store-wide.
Morning, Keith. Did you know if you buy new eligible AAMI home and car insurance together, you can save 20% off the second policy until November 29? Does your insurance offer this? AAMI does.
I know what you're thinking. Electric. It's not for you. You're probably right. Electric just doesn't have enough range. Everyone knows water and electricity don't mix. No more hanging out here either. Electric just can't keep up. So maybe an electric car isn't for you. Or is it?
Craving adventure? Portuguese-style chicken, flame grilled, 100% flavor, 100% Australian chicken, made fresh every day. Adventure awaits.
Who likes honey?
I don't like honey. I would never use it as the hero in a dish.
Tune in MasterChef's Honeylicious Challenge, 7:30 tonight.
Good evening. The final 4 teams standing in the 2020 season are fully fit and raring to go. There was a scare for a key cat as we head to Tim Morgan on the Gold Coast. Tim, that man was Rhys Stanley, but he has the all clear.
Stephen, Rhys Stanley was really the only nervous moment of the weekend when he came from the field against Collingwood with that knee injury. Now, he did manage to play out the game, but the fear is always that these things are a little bit worse a couple of days after the match. But Chris Scott, he spoke on the radio today, said he had no concerns at all. He's expecting Rhys Stanley to be right to go against the Brisbane Lions, and that jarred knee is really, really minor. So that's really good news for Cats fans. It does essentially mean all 4 of these teams have their best 22 available, barring just 1 or 2 across the remaining 4 of them. None more so than Port Adelaide, who could not be fitter, could not be fresher after a week off as they prepare to take on the Tigers. After skipping week 2 of the finals, the Power must switch back on for a home prelim against Richmond.
It gives you an opportunity to freshen up. You just got to make sure you prepare right and you come and bring that heat, especially early in the game. That's when you can be found out. The legs are a little bit slow to catch up, but it shouldn't really be an issue.
There should be no issues either for Todd Marshall and Xavier Dersma, with the week off working in their favour.
Yeah, both of those boys will be right to play. I think it was probably important so they weren't going in sore, but I'd expect they'd be pretty close to 100% now.
Despite leading the league for the entire season, Port Adelaide remain third favourite for the flag, and it's happy if people still see them as underdogs against the reigning premiers.
It's a bit of an individual thing. I like to feel like a bit of an underdog, like we're trying to knock them off. You know, we're well aware that we've played a lot of good footy this year, and we should completely back in our game plan and the way we go about things. And we definitely shouldn't, you know, play second fiddle or be intimidated by them.
Grant Birchall is one player not daunted by this time of year. The former Hawk 1 win away from his 6th grand final appearance. First, Birchall on the Lions' defence need to stop a Cats forward line that may again be led by Patrick Dangerfield. Tim Morgan for 10 News First.
There could be significant fallout from Collingwood's huge loss to Geelong on Saturday night. Rob Waters joins us. Rob, Jordan De Goey's future may not be at the Magpies, and now one of his supposed suitors has dropped out.
Yes, Stephen, Carlton was supposed to be white hot on Jordan De Goey and prepared to offer him a massive multi-year deal. But the Blues have said today, no interest from us here. So someone was trying to use them as leverage. De Goey's future, of course, was put into the spotlight by his coach Nathan Buckley after his post-match comments that those in De Goey's camp want to make as much leverage out of this contract as possible. And within 2 days, Buckley has flushed out Carlton. So it will be interesting what happens with De Goey. Collingwood, of course, want to keep him, but not at any price. He kicked just the 14 goals in his 10 games this year, and his career really has regressed since his stellar 2018. But there will be suitors for him. He is a match winner. He is a spectacular player. They are on short supply. So De Goey's future will be one of the big things of the trade period looming, unless, of course, he does recommit with the Magpies very quickly, which is what Essendon's Andrew McGrath has done. In some welcome news at Tullamarine, McGrath is re-signed for the next 2 years. That takes him to the end of 2022 with the Bombers. But the bad news keeps coming for them as well. Orazio Fantasia, as expected, wants out. He wants to return home to South Australia, and his preferred destination is the Crows.
We understand he wants to come back to South Australia, so any player who's gone interstate who wants to return home, we're keen to talk to and understand what their motivations are. Just not sure where that one will lie and how that'll play out, but yeah, we're always keen to talk to South Australians who want to come home.
I think the Crows there have the whip hand, with Port Adelaide not interested. Once bitten, twice shy. They were interested last year. They're not now. So the Crows with a good hand to play there. There's a lot to play out as the trade period starts to warm up. Stephen?
Thanks, Rob. Rafael Nadal has equalled Roger Federer's 20 Grand Slam wins after thrashing Novak Djokovic in the French Open final. The straight sets victory was Nadal's 100th at Roland Garros. He has now won the French title 13 times.
Donning a mask instead of a crown, there is still no mistaking the king of clay. Rafael Nadal crushing Novak Djokovic to clinch his 13th French Open.
I mean, winning 13 times, I mean, there's not much you can say. All the superlatives that you can use, he deserves it.
On a revamped centre court, the socially distanced crowd witnessed a relentless Rafa. The 34-year-old with just 2 unforced errors during the first set, where he failed to drop a game. Cruised through the second set too, until the Serbian finally found some life, breaking serve for the first time in the match.
And there is the reaction. And is that going to be the turning point in this final?
But Djokovic's hope was short-lived, Nadal becoming the first male in history to win 4 majors without dropping a set, a feat acknowledged by his friend and greatest ever rival Roger Federer on social media.
It means a lot to share the 20th, this number with Roger.
Jace Kemp for 10 News First.
Fresh from his 4 wins on Caulfield Guineas Day, Willie Pike has picked up the ride on South Australian galloper Dallasan in Saturday's Caulfield Cup. The WA Hoop is relieved to have broken his Victorian Group 1 duck, and he's not done yet.
He's the wizard from the West who cast his spell over Caulfield.
You have your moments where you're wondering what you're doing here, and then you have a day like I had on Saturday, and you're like, oh, that's why I'm here. Now I remember.
A day out in the saddle, yielding a lazy 4 winners, including 2 Group 1s.
Got it! Ollie Kirk won the Guineas and neck.
Still, the move to Melbourne hasn't been without its challenges.
All the jockeys seem to sleep with one eye open. They're always on the job. They're always working. So the riding ability here feels like it's only half the story, and it's non-stop and relentless, and you really got to live it and love it and that's definitely not what I'm used to.
For years, Pike has been without peer in Perth, and he's got East Coast punters out of trouble many a time. Still, his critics questioned his ability out of WA. On Saturday, he silenced those doubters.
Those sort of people, they're always going to hate. You know, haters love to hate, so we don't worry about them too much.
His greatest thrill steering Arcadia Queen past Boom Import Russian Camelot in the Caulfield Stakes.
Arcadia Queen, first look at 2000, is going to turn over Russian Camelot.
She went past him that easy. Normally in those big races, you don't get much time to enjoy it. There's always someone breathing down your neck. So I've got a quiet little moment to give a bit of a fist pump and enjoy it.
The class mare back to her best ahead of a Cox Plate assignment for trainers Grant and Alana Williams and Leviathan owner Bob Peters. The team from the West taking on the rest.
We've come over here to try and prove ourselves, and we've gone a good way to doing that, but job's not done yet.
Keyte Price for 10 News First.
Washington quarterback Alex Smith was facing an amputated leg less than 2 years ago. Today, the 36-year-old quarterback returned to the game for the first time in 693 days.
And he's going to throw and complete it to McKissick. And McKissick gets it out to the 40-yard line.
Smith's first completion was worthy of a standing ovation from family in the stands. Washington didn't get the win, but for completing an inspirational comeback, Alex Smith takes away our player of the day. That's it from me, Jen.
OK, thank you, Stephen. And Kate will be back after the break with all the weather details.
Cricket legend Steve Waugh on his other passion. Next.
Hands up who likes honey. Everybody. Oh, except Georgia. Georgia. You don't like honey.
I don't like honey. I'm in big trouble.
Can Georgia get out of this sticky situation?
I'd have to make this dish work. I'm very scared.
Junior MasterChef's Honeylicious Challenge, 7:30 tonight.
Harvey Norman, your big TV specialists. With Hisense big TVs up to 100-inch. Go bigger with the all-new 100-inch Hisense Smart TV. Simply brilliant 4K quality with 200Hz smooth motion, Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos for a truly immersive experience. Go bigger with the new Hisense 100-inch UHD Smart TV. Available to order now at Harvey Norman. Go bigger. Go Hisense.
How good.
Go!
All right, let's see what it's got. Comfort, bucket loads. Now for some punishment. It's tough, really tough. But smart. Capable, you could say that. Just one more thing. Your turn. Brand new Mazda BT50, the complete package.
New Rainbow Bursties make Hungry Jack's frozen drinks more fun with bursting bubbles of triple bursty flavour sensation. Or add Rainbow Bursties to new bubblegum frozens. Get more flavour and fun with Rainbow Bursties, only at Hungry Jack's.
Looking for that excuse to create your dream entertaining area? Receive colour LED lighting with your new Louver House absolutely free. But hurry, as this offer is strictly limited. Live life your way with Louver House.
It's easy to tame your home loan with our lowest ever fixed rate. Switch to Police Credit Union and lock in a cracking 3-year fixed rate home loan. You could save thousands. Call, visit a branch or find us online today.
People love superheroes, but it's you have to start to get out to. It's diabolical. That's where we come in. Come in to do what? Take down the superheroes. So what's your big plan? You'll love it.
I won't love it, I never love it.
Noted.
Dinner, a constant struggle, wasting time buying food you don't need, stuck in a rut of the same recipes. With HelloFresh, dinner is better. Easy recipes and delicious meals that everyone enjoys. Order your first box today at hellofresh.com.au. Inspiration delivered.
Tonight, let the games begin when Abby, Marty and Melanie join Ed and Sam on new Have You Been Paying Attention?
Good evening. Well, it's been a great day for the kids heading back to school across South Australia after school holidays. It's been lovely in Adelaide, warm and sunny, and even this morning it was really warm. Our low was 17 degrees. Today warmed up to 29 degrees at 2 o'clock, and currently it's still 27. Around Adelaide, it hit the 30s up north. Murray Bridge hit 31 and Glenelg reached 29 degrees. Looking at temperatures across South Australia, it has been very warm with northerly winds helping temperatures creep up across the state. The top was 33 degrees in Ceduna, 32 degrees in Whyalla and Port Augusta, 29 degrees in Maitland and 27 through the Clare Valley. Looking further south, it was still very warm. Temperatures reached the mid to high 20s. Port Lincoln reached 29 degrees and Renmark got to 28, but it was a little cooler in the southeast, reaching 23 degrees at Naracoorte and Mount Gambier. It's been a warm and dry day right around the country, especially up north, 35 degrees in Darwin. It's been warm and partly cloudy in Brisbane. Today reached 26, partly cloudy and 25 in Sydney, and a lovely day for the kids to go back to school after COVID restrictions were lifted in Melbourne, sunny and 25 degrees, with a sunny 28 the top in Perth. On the satellite photo, cloud has tracked across South Australia today, and that's generated isolated showers and storms in the west, but most of the state's looking clear. A pair of highs is moving over the Bight, and that's keeping conditions fine across South Australia, while a trough of low pressure over the west of our state is generating showers and storms, and that'll move through, bringing rain to the rest of the state later this week. Looking around the country tomorrow, warm and partly cloudy for most places. Brisbane's heading for 28, a sunny 27 degrees in Sydney, becoming windy through the afternoon. Morning showers and a much cooler day on the way for Melbourne at 16 degrees, with 29 the top here in Perth. Across South Australia, there'll be early morning fog on the west coast and the Eyre Peninsula, but then it is looking good with sunshine across the board and temperatures even warmer than today, all the way up to 34 degrees in Port Augusta. While looking further south, morning fog will affect the southern Fleurieu, Kangaroo Island and the southeast. It is looking like a very warm day through the Riverland, 32 degrees in Renmark, much cooler on Kangaroo Island, just 19 degrees at Kingscote. Looking around the suburbs, it is looking good with 28 degrees the top in Elizabeth and 24 down south in Noarlunga. While on local waters, winds will blow southerly at 10 knots with the waves sitting under 1 metre. In Adelaide, it will cool off to 14 degrees overnight, with more warm and sunny weather on the way for us tomorrow, heading for a top of 26. And then looking ahead, it's even warmer by the middle of the week. 31 degrees on Wednesday, 27 degrees on Thursday, with a chance of showers in the afternoon, and that kicks off a wet few days. A wet day on Saturday, 21, but then it's clearing up just in time for Sunday, so not looking too bad for the weekend.
Returning now to the stories making news in Adelaide this hour. SA Health cops criticism in the review into the port travel exemption saga. The execution-style killing of a former SA bikie in his Gold Coast driveway. And ticket frenzy as Port fans down tools for their chance to chair their team into the grand final. But first, SA Health's approval for relatives of Port Adelaide players to enter South Australia came without documenting any reason for the decision. Alan Murrell joins us now. Alan, does today's report explain how things went wrong?
Well, Jen, it's a timeline, not so much an explanation, just a confused list of steps in a process that went wrong. Last month, there were 11 family members of Port players who asked to come from Victoria into Adelaide for the finals. The head of SA Health's exemption committee thought that the Deputy Public Health Officer, Evan Everest, had said that those exemptions were to be approved, and she also thought that he said to put his electronic signature on those approvals. Dr. Everest doesn't even remember talking about the subject, and he says that if he did, he was misunderstood. He was just referring to having those approvals sent to a committee. No one is ever going to know because there's no documentation about the reasons for the approval. No one is being disciplined, and the Premier says it's all a learning experience.
This was never, ever about lynching an individual. It was a genuine attempt to improve administrative outcomes. There was no finding that this was widespread or there were other errors. This was an isolated incident.
This report comes to no conclusions about who did what when. It raises a number of questions.
Only 5 Port family members did get into Adelaide. They have finished the hotel quarantine in time for Port's prelim final on Friday. Jen?
Thank you very much, Alan. There are fears of an all-out turf war after a former South Australian bikie was killed outside his Gold Coast home. Finks enforcer Shane Bowden was ambushed at around midnight in his driveway. The street was locked down all day as forensic investigators scoured the crime scene for evidence. Bowden survived a drive-by shooting in Melbourne in July and recently made headlines for breaching Queensland's COVID regulations on his return to the state. Police now trying to calm tensions between the Finks and the Mongols, which have reportedly been threatening to boil over for months. More than 100 gel blasters have been handed over to police since the start of a crackdown on Friday. Specific gun licences are now required to legally own the blasters, with a shorter training course to be offered from next month. Police are standing by their decision to tighten restrictions, despite the backlash from enthusiasts.
This is the concern for operational police, is that they confront people with gel blasters that look like a firearm that fires lethal bullets, not a non-lethal firearm that fires gel blaster balls.
There's still an estimated 60,000 imitation weapons authorities hope to account for during a 6-month amnesty. South Australia's specialist paramedic rescue team is gearing up for a busy few months. A man who fell while rock climbing at the Onkaparinga River National Park is the latest patient to be winched to safety.
A chopper hovers as paramedics carefully calculate the best way to reach their patient, a rock climber who'd plunged 8 metres down a cliff.
The injury would have looked quite confronting. In the sort of terrain he was in, it could have been as simple as landing on your feet on a rock and just the rock sort of twists your ankle.
The same meticulous planning that's required from the rescue team year-round. Yesterday's operation in steep terrain at Onkaparinga River National Park was one of around 20 patients winched to safety every year.
Most of them are centred around this time of year. It's end of winter, it's now good weather, and so you have a combination of spring, summer, winching accidents, climbing.
In August, paramedics struggled to reach a 57-year-old bushwalker who'd injured his ankle at Deep Creek. Facing bad weather and rugged terrain, a winch was the only way out. After winter and recent social distancing restrictions, emergency crews are bracing for a busy few months ahead.
It is possible with COVID and more people doing these sorts of activities that we are going to see a possible blip or increase in our activity.
For anyone setting out, the advice is simple.
It's good to make sure you're well prepared, use the appropriate safety equipment, and obviously if you've got any concerns, call the appropriate authorities.
Caroline O'Day for 10 News First.
Donald Trump is preparing to return to the campaign trail tomorrow with a rally set for the swing state of Florida. The US president says he's now completely free of COVID-19, insisting he's no longer at risk.
It looks like I'm immune for, I don't know, maybe a long time, or maybe a short time. It could be a lifetime. Nobody really knows, but I'm immune. So the president is in very good shape.
It comes as a new poll finds 62% of American voters don't trust what Donald Trump says about the virus.
Great, I don't know about you.
The Prime Minister had to be ushered away by police in Queensland today when his visit was ambushed by protesters. They vandalised his car and a building, putting security at risk.
Here he is. Go.
It's not how the Prime Minister thought his week would start.
Free the refugees! Let them go, you scum!
Flanked by security and rushed down the stairs at the University of Queensland, he shoved into the back of a paddy wagon.
Here's your garbage! 8 years!
Refugee rights protesters weren't giving up as the Prime Minister drove away.
Free the refugees!
Earlier, they threw red paint on his official car and smeared it on the glass windows and entrance to the research facility. Scott Morrison, unaware of what was unfolding outside, his focus on Australia finding a vaccine for COVID-19.
We become the epicentre of these things all around the world.
Scott Morrison continued on with his day, selling his budget at Busy Recycling.
What you can see around me here
is a resource. It's a resource that is going to continue to power our economy into the future.
He expressed his disappointment about the actions of the protesters.
It was unfortunate that what they're doing was disrespected in that way today.
Well, that is completely unacceptable, and as I've always said, everyone should be showing respect.
As the government continues selling last week's budget, a poll today confirms it's largely been well received. Twice as many voters think the budget is good rather than bad, 42% to 20%, but 38% of Australians remain uncommitted. Scott Morrison will remain in the Sunshine State for another few days before returning ahead of next week's sitting. Stella Todorovic for 10 News First.
Hundreds of victims of last summer's East Gippsland bushfires in Victoria are still living in sheds and caravans. Their plans to rebuild bound up in red tape. Some feel forgotten and don't know if they'll have a home before the end of the year.
9 months since their home was destroyed, Bob and Linda Carney are living in a caravan.
Probably some are doing it tougher. Some are better off, but a lot are doing it tougher than what we are.
Bob is a CFA volunteer and stayed at home to fight the blaze. When it came, it approached from 3 directions, and the family home of 23 years stood no chance. The couple spent months staring at the ruin, waiting for the land to be cleared.
Well, that was the hardest thing, looking at it every day, you couldn't plan because you're just looking at this ruin every day.
They've only just received their planning permit, but before they can rebuild, they need a building permit.
You just think you're going round in circles, really. It's just never ending. You just go, oh, somebody else wants something else, or they want something else, or you've got to do something else.
The Premier is demanding answers from the Insurance Council.
And I was very distressed to see those reports today. These good people have paid their premiums year on year. And they should get their payout as quickly as possible.
Candice Wyatt for 10 News First.
The Powers home prelim against Richmond on Friday night is already a sellout following an online ticket frenzy this morning. Cam Inglis has the details.
Well, it was a nervous morning for the Port Adelaide faithful, thousands clamouring to get a seat at Adelaide Oval for Friday night's preliminary clash against Richmond. Tradies taking an early smoko to secure their seats as tickets went online at 9 o'clock this morning. 25,500 sellable tickets allocated for the game, but after the first half an hour, only 3,000 remained. Little left over for the general public when they got their first chance to buy a seat at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Power players looking forward to a full house of teal, black and white, with Victorian-based Richmond fans unable to get across for the game.
I don't know if it has an impact on the opposition teams, but it's just great to have a full house and as many of our supporters in there as possible. Obviously they've missed out on some footy this year, so the more we can get along the better.
Mate, when it was refreshing, I was very nervous, mate, because last week I had it took about 12 minutes to get through, so today was really good.
Well, many Port Adelaide fans are trying to keep a lid on expectations, but some have already booked a ticket to Queensland for the grand final.
Well, Stephen returns with sport next, including the latest on a homesick bomber and another French Open masterclass from Rafael Nadal.
...2020's been a bin fire of a year, so Beyond Blue Chair Julia Gillard is dropping by tonight to talk about our country's mental health. That's next.
So, love, there's only that robot costume left. Oh, this one.
Make the choice easy with Toyota. Get the improved Prado, now with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus more power. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Great food lives in Foodland. The mighty South Aussies, yeah.
Get fresh new summer looks at Harris Scarf with 25 to 40% off all clothing, footwear and underwear, 35 to 60% off all homewares in Manchester and 15 to 30% off all electrical. Ends 27th of October. Shop great brands at great prices in store or online.
Dreaming of the perfect entertaining area all year round? You have the control. Turn down the sun. Block out the rain. This is living. This is Louver House. Locally designed and constructed, we can tailor a solution which will let you enjoy your living space and have complete control of the elements. So stop dreaming and live life your way with Louver House.
The new Ford Puma doesn't need a Hollywood-level production. The new effortlessly stylish Ford Puma. No advertising trickery required.
Beautiful clothes deserve maximum protection. Nivea Black and White Anti-Stain Deodorant. Blacks stay black. Whites stay white longer. Now in 3 limited editions by Australian designers. Black and White by Nivea.
Strains on joints and eyes on phones. Your body is the only one you own. He's clicking, twists and sprains. Spines now with aches and pains. Hurt, arthritis, stress, cholesterol. Your body is the only one you own.
You only have one body. Look after it every day.
Black Balls.
Welcome to the procrastination place.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
You've been looking at shoes for hours.
Yeah, shoes.
You've got stuff to do.
Make it happen!
Enjoy working, playing, and streaming with a new 5G phone on the 5G network it deserves. Upgrade today.
This here's Wood Smoke's Shortcut Rindless Bacon. It's got your 4 main food groups: bacon, 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 and protein, which is also bacon. And now it's only $8.99 for a 1 kilo pack. Aldi, good, different.
Taking the cup to you with coverage from across the country. Everybody has a ticket.
They're on top of the world!
To the Melbourne Cup Carnival, live on 10.
Adelaide has confirmed it's interested in bringing Essendon forward Orazio Fantasia to West Lakes. The South Australian is homesick and is expected to formally request a trade, leaving the Crows to fight with rivals Port for his services.
We understand he wants to come back to South Australia, so any player who's gone interstate who wants to return home, we're keen to talk to and understand what their motivations are.
The Crows will wait to see what rival clubs present to free agent Brad Crouch before deciding whether to match an offer. Port Adelaide skipper Tom Jonas thinks his team deserves its favouritism against Richmond, but he still feels like the underdog. A week off has given the Power a chance to refresh, while the Tigers played themselves back into form.
Boots and all, Tom Jonas believes his team is the best in the competition, but until the Power hoists the Premiership Cup, he's happy to concede the Tigers are the ones to beat.
I like to feel like a bit of an underdog, like we're trying to knock them off. You know, despite beating them earlier in the year and finishing top, they've got the runs on the board over the last 3 years.
The Power skipper is sure his team won't be intimidated come Friday night. A week off isn't always helpful, but it has given sore bodies a chance to heal and tired minds a chance to refocus.
Nah, it's all up here, I think, mate. And I think when you're going to be in front of a home crowd and an opportunity to play in a grand final, it shouldn't matter.
Both Port and Richmond have had personnel changes since their memorable Round 11 meeting. Psychologically, the win still counts for something at Alberton, and the expectation is the same result this week.
Port Adelaide, we expect to win Premiership every year, and we know that's not always the reality, but internally we have the same expectation. We want to go as far as we can, and we've put in a mountain of work this year. We wouldn't want to see it go to waste.
So the skipper is putting some extra time into his pre-match pump-up.
Yeah, I'll try and come up with something that hopefully gets them going, and you know, to be honest, like even if it's a bit of a dog's breakfast, sometimes the boys take as much pleasure out of that as anything, so...
Up north, the Tigers trained this morning. Like Port, they have no real injury concerns, leaving both teams to crack in on Friday with near full-strength lineups. Max Burford for 10 News First.
LeBron James and his Lakers have knocked off the Heat to take his 4th NBA title and send LA into party mode.
When your nickname is the King, you can celebrate however you like. LeBron James on fire as the LA Lakers become world champions once again.
This historic 2020 NBA championship belongs to the Los Angeles Lakers.
From the NBA bubble to the streets of Los Angeles, a Lakers title was always going to produce tributes for the late great number 24. The players taking time to remember Anthony Davis overcome by emotions.
He was a big brother to all of us, and we did this for him.
King James claimed back his crown after a monster triple-double.
With the flush down the other end.
The game was over by half-time as the Lakers finally extinguished the Heat. LeBron winning his 4th title and the first person in NBA history to win 3 Finals MVPs with 3 different teams.
Laker Nation want their respect, and I want my damn respect too.
If there was any doubt he'd been there before, the man knows how to celebrate, especially when champagne's involved.
Where's the goggles?
But first, a phone call back home.
Mama! Mama! Hey, Mama.
For the newly crowned champs, celebrations just beginning and no doubt running well into the night. Bo Pearson for 10 News First.
Speaking of parties, Rafael Nadal has equalled Roger Federer on 20 Grand Slam singles titles, thrashing Novak Djokovic in the French Open final. Nadal didn't lose his 13th French Open crown. The Formula 1 and pit crews were kept on their toes with 5 retirements during the Eiffel Grand Prix, and while McLaren's Lando Norris put his feet up after bowing out, Daniel Ricciardo timed his pit stop to perfection to pounce on his first podium finish in almost 2.5 years. The Aussie forgot his trademark celebration on stage, but enjoyed a post-race shoey behind closed doors.
Mother's milk. Thank you, everyone.
Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton claimed his 91st victory, equalling wins record holder Michael Schumacher. South Australia's top order all threw away decent starts on day 3 of the Shield clash with WA. Travis Head looked in good touch, but fell to an Ashton Agar trap.
In the air, straight down his throat. He's out caught at deep square leg, a top edge sweep, finds Cameron Green, and the Redbacks captain is on his way.
The Redbacks couldn't cash in on the batter-friendly pitch. WA could, though. The lead now heading past 300, thanks to Cam Bancroft and Sean Marsh. And that's all from me, Jen.
Thank you, Stephen. Keyte's back next with the latest on Adelaide's forecast.
Who likes honey?
I don't like honey. I would never use it as the hero in a dish.
2 new MasterChefs Honeylicious Challenge, 7:30 tonight.
Enjoy the Nescafe Gold range with its distinctively rich taste. Now with deliciously creamy plant-based lattes. So no matter how you enjoy your coffee, choose Nescafe Gold. Taste beyond compare.
Can we get much higher?
I fantasize about this back in Chicago.
Bryce, you've got 1 carnation left. Who's going through to the next round?
The perfect fitting shoe. You never want to take it off. At The Athlete's Foot, we believe in fit. And now you can get fitted your way. In-store with social distancing and MyFit 3D. Or online with MyFit Virtual. We make it easy. The Athlete's Foot. Now that's fit.
Your choices make a big difference.
Are you using South Aussie chicken salt like Matani?
And is your supermarket South Australian?
Choose SA brands and produce at Drake's, your SA family-owned supermarket.
Choose SA.
Bag
a bargain at Chemist Warehouse with our amazing October catalogue sale on now. Wellgrove Immune Support Olive Leaf Extract 500ml, $22.50. Healthy Care Wild Krill Oil 100mg, 60 capsules, $17.99. Dermaveen Gentle Wash or Moisturising Lotion 1 litre, $15.99. And any Andalou Edge Defying Favourites from $14.99. Shop in-store, online or call your local store to arrange contact-free delivery. Chemist Warehouse. Great savings every day.
Adelaide, you deserve a holiday. Stay and play on the Gold Coast. 7 nights, car hire, plus a 3-day theme park pass from $4.99. Book now at Phil Hoffman Travel.
As part of BHP's Training and Local Business Support Program, we are pleased to announce the BHP Apprenticeship Pledge to create 3,500 new apprenticeships and training positions across Australia over the next 5 years.
Fantasize about this back in Chicago.
Oh wow, it's really not timber.
It's really not timber.
Amazing.
Best of all, it's going to look just as good when I'm an old man.
That's donkey's ears.
The new Eco Deck Designer Series, available at Bunnings Warehouse. Up next, another political scalp in Victoria as frustration grows around Melbourne's lockdown.
It will be almost impossible for us to keep this thing contained.
How the time you hit the hay could be impacting your health. And legend of the cricket pitch turned photography pro, we catch up with Steve Waugh. The project next.
Kate joins us now with a look at the weather. Kate, it's been a lovely day.
Jen, it's been a great day out there with blue skies and sunshine, and it's felt really warm. Even this morning, our low was 17 degrees, and today warmed right up to 29 degrees at 2 this afternoon, and currently it's 26 degrees. On the satellite photo, cloud has tracked across South Australia today, generating isolated showers and storms in the west, but most of our state is looking nice and clear. A high pressure system is moving out over the Bight, and that's keeping conditions fine, while a trough of low pressure is pushing across to the east, and that's generating showers and storms in the west of South Australia, moving through to the rest of our state later this week. Looking around the country tomorrow, warm and partly cloudy in Queensland. Brisbane's heading for a top of 28 degrees, sunny and 27 degrees in Sydney, then becoming windy through the afternoon. Showers in Canberra, Melbourne and Hobart, with a warm day in the west, 29 degrees with some sunshine over in Perth. Across South Australia, there'll be early morning fog on the west coast and on the Eyre Peninsula, but then it's looking good with lots of sunshine and temperatures even warmer than today, up to 34 degrees at Port Augusta. Looking further south, morning fog will affect the southern Fleurieu, Kangaroo Island and the southeast. Tomorrow is looking very warm through the Riverland, 32 degrees in Renmark, but much cooler in Kangaroo Island, just 19 degrees at Kingscote and 20 degrees in the southeast at Mount Gambier. Around the suburbs, tomorrow is looking good, a sunny 28 degrees in Elizabeth and 25 degrees at Glenelg and Mount Barker. Looking at the city, tonight will stay dry, dropping to 14 degrees with more warm and sunny weather on the way tomorrow, heading for 26. And then looking ahead, we have some very warm weather on the way by the middle of the week, 31 degrees by Wednesday, a few showers later this week, including on Saturday, but Jen, it's clearing up for Sunday.
OK, thank you very much, Kate. And that's Adelaide's 10 News First for now. I'll have updates through the evening. Stay with us for the project, but from the team, good night.
Tonight, another political scalp taken in Victoria as frustration grows around Melbourne's lockdown.
If we open up right now, then it will be almost impossible for us to keep this thing contained.
Bombshell details of the New South Wales Premier's intimate relationship with a former MP revealed.
How the time you hit the hay could be impacting your health.
And legend of the cricket pitch turned photography pro. We catch up with Steve Waugh. This is The Project.
Good evening and welcome to The Project, where every Monday is brightened by the presence of Steve Price. That was a surprise. Hi.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Auto cue is on the blink. Tonight, the people of Melbourne will spend their 209th day in some form of lockdown. It's one of the toughest and longest lockdowns in the world. And safe to say, they're over it.